Great, just quickly, if the fire alarm does go off, it's not a drill, but the exits are where you came, and there's a fire exit that way as well. Through the window, you won't get anywhere. Over to you, Brian, as the former chair, to open the meeting.
As a former chair, I shall formally open the meeting. Good evening, everybody. I guess the first item on the agenda must be to appoint a chair, as I have already resigned as chair. So if there are any proposals or comments from other councillors.
So we're on the agenda after 1 hour. Right, I'd like to put forward a councillor. Oh, sorry. I do apologise. Is that working? Can everybody hear me? Oh, excellent. Sorry. I'd like to put forward Councillor John Smith for chair.
I'd like to second Councillor Moore's proposal.
Any other proposals?
No, I'm just proposing.
No, I don't propose for any other person to be chair. So we will have a vote then.
Excuse me, is it possible to turn the sound up a little, please?
Yes, certainly.
Yeah.
On your control panel, there's a little button on the right-hand side one. Just turn that up a little bit more, and just see how you go with that. 1, 2.
Take my mask off. Is there anybody that can hear me? Somebody must be able to hear me.
You're very faint, Florence.
Is that any better? Must be working very much.
Anyone else got theirs on? No. The red light's off?
No.
Try that one, bring it closer to you.
I've got a red light. Anybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Right, so we'll have a vote from my please. Councillor John Smith in the chair.
In favour? In favour.
Okay. I'm going to abstain from all of these votes. So that's 4 in favour of 1 abstention. John, Councillor John Smith.
Thank you, Brian. I'd just like to say thank you for the nomination and the support, and we would hope that going forward, Handforth Parish Council delivers what the parish needs as soon as we can get to grips all the issues that we have. Okay, thank you. Second item, sorry, 21-12-2, to receive apologies for absence.
No apologies received.
The reason that there was a line for apologies for absence was because the agenda was printed prior to hearing that Councillor Birkin had resigned. Councillor Bruton and Councillor Birkin resigned. Any information about that is on the parish website and the notice boards. 21-12-3. To note declarations of interest and requests for dispensations to discuss a vote on a matter in which a member or co-opted member has a disposable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest or any prejudicial interest. Can I ask anyone, any councillors who have any interest or prejudicial or not?
None here.
No.
No.
Okay, and I have none. Next item, 21.12.4, open forum. Comment and questions concerning items on this agenda will be put to the council during this period. Matters which, in the chair's view, require debate and discussion will refer to the next council meeting as appropriate. Public forum is restricted to 15 minutes unless the chair allows it otherwise. Ask if there's any members of the public who have any points to raise. Roger.
Thanks, Chair. I would like to say how pleased I am to see that the Parish Council is moving on in terms of electing a new chair, a new vice chair, chairs of committee, and so on. That's good. That's good news as far as I'm concerned. What bothers me most at this point in time is whether or not the Parish Council as a whole is going to survive. I'd like to point out to the Parish Council that the minutes of Cheshire East's Constitution Committee meeting held on Tuesday the 6th of April, the printed minutes have now appeared, and I would recommend that the Council read very carefully the paragraphs which precede the heading of resolved and the paragraph which immediately follows that. I make that recommendation because there are issues about who will pay for any referendum that might occur. Such a referendum would have to be requested by the Parish Council. And the outcome of that referendum. Is it to be binding? Maybe binding on the Constitution Committee, but may not be binding on Cheshire East Council as a whole. And so I think I would recommend that the Parish Councillors look at those minutes and consider them very carefully as to what might happen during this consultation period. I should add that the Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group submitted a 9-page document to Cheshire East Council asking that the proposed merger of Handforth, Wilmslow and Chorley did not go to public consultation. I didn't receive any response to that request, but Alan Murdoch, the Vice Chair, did receive a response, and it was to the effect that Cheshire East couldn't go along with that suggestion, and so they are determined that this proposed merger will go to public consultation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Roger. Any other members of the public have any points to raise? No? Thank you. Move on. Next item, 21.12.5. To elect a vice chair to Handforth Parish Council and sign the declaration of acceptance of office. I would like to propose Councillor Moore as vice chair at Handforth Parish Council.
I'd like to second it.
Can I have a vote for those in favour? I'm sorry, no other proposals? No other proposals? Okay. All those in favour? Anyone against? No? That's unanimous. Councillor Moore has, sorry, it doesn't, Brian's absent. Understood. 21.12.6. To elect members to the following committees, groups and outside bodies. There are 4 committees: finance, planning, environment and personnel. Given that there are 4, given that all 4 of these committees require to be quorum before we can do anything, I'm suggesting that all councillors become members of all committees. Have any comments regarding that? Any comments? Okay. I'd like to propose that motion then that all parish councils are members of all 4 committees. Can I have a vote? Those in favour, please.
I'll second that.
Yes. Second.
Oh, did you?
All in favour, yes? Yeah, that actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. Second part of the motion 21-12-6, groups, working groups and lead councillors. There are 11 elements to this. Now, what we believe we should do, what I'd like to propose, is that we defer this item until there's a more full council, and in the interim, we reorganise these elements, such as for those in the public, police liaison, youth services, HPC grant award liaison, etc., into a project list, which the council will address by nominating individuals who wish to take on certain elements of that list. So the proposal is that we defer and reorganise these items into a project list.
I also suggest that we make different councillors work on somebody should define what the objectives or the remembers of these various or these entities.
Yeah, some do need that. Some are quite straightforward, such as police liaison, youth services liaison, friends of the station liaison. Yes, but there are elements in there that do need more definition to it, so that the project list can be quite easily understood by everybody. Do we need to vote on that, actually, given that we've already voted on 21-12?
Right.
We can, okay. So, could I have a second for that proposal, please? Okay. Can I have a vote in favour of the proposal? 1, 2, 3. Right, unanimous. Thank you. 21-12-7. To confirm the council's eligibility criteria to exercise the general power of competence. 2 criteria must be met, 2/3 of members are elected, and the council has a SILCA qualified clerk. Can you confirm that, Ashley, please?
Just meet the criteria, yes.
Thank you. Do we need a motion to confirm it? Thank you. Next item, 21-12-8, to review the council's level of insurance provision. And I know it's your current of the existing insurers. Does anybody have any comments to make about the documentation that we've received? No?
No,
And Ashley, as the
that's fine.
clerk, you're happy to continue with your?
Yeah.
Okay. We're content to leave that as it stands?
Yeah.
Okay. 21-12-9, to review and agree Parish Council's 2021-22 risk assessment. It has been updated and satisfactory. Does anybody have any comments? No? Neither have I, thank you. So we can confirm the risk assessment acceptable.
Really propose, yeah.
Propose that the risk assessment is acceptable. Can I have a second?
Oh, definitely.
All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 21-12-10, to receive the internal auditor's report. Everybody receive a copy of that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. The report essentially has few meetings were taking place. There was not a great deal of business at the council taking place. Such issues as oak nurseries and any other suppliers who are on a contractual basis to the Parish Council were not actually dealt with as quick as it could have been done. But they are now, as you can see, on either the agenda for this evening or will be on the agenda for the next meeting. in order that the auditor is satisfied. Okay. So we are, lost my place. I've received the interim auditor's report. Do you need any motion on that? Sorry.
Chair, can I just make a comment before we go to that vote, Kate? I think it's unfortunately the worst internal audit report since the conception of this council, and it's by no means the parish clerk's fault. Under the circumstances, the internal auditor did the job that he was paid to do, and if anybody wishes to see the comments, they'll be in the parish clerk's office.
Thank you. So, can I have a proposal to proceed with the auditor's interim report? Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Can I vote those in favour? Thank you. Anonymous. 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 Thank you. 21/12/11. To confirm the arrangements regarding the appointment of internal auditor for 2021-22. And the proposal is that we retain the current auditor, JDH. Does anyone have any issues with retaining the current auditor? No. I propose that we accept JDH as the auditor for the next year. Thank you. I vote of those in favour. Unanimous. Thank you. 21/12/12. Delegation of powers. Motion is to approve the delegation of the parish council's power in respect of planning matters to the plans committee of the parish council and finance matters to the finance committee of the parish council. Does anyone have any comment? No? Feel it's a sensible move. Okay. Another vote?
Sorry, just a question. This is repeating what the finance committee's powers are as of yesterday. As it was last year.
No, the council is delegating its full authority to the planning committee, so that the planning committee can comment on planning applications without having to refer them back to the full council. The finance committee can also make certain financial decisions within either old or new financial regulations that don't have to be referred back to the full council for approval.
And that's what I'm asking. Is that the powers that are delegated remain the same under this?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Yeah.
I think the only difference this time is that we're all members of all committees.
Yes.
So you effectively asking the full council to vote on it anyway,
Yeah.
for any committee meetings. So
Yeah.
For example, we have the finance committee, chairman's charter, and then makes a recommendation to full council to authorise payment. Where does that stay?
Theoretically, it would give the finance committee the power to actually grant that application there and then without having to refer it back to the full council. However, because of our current grant applications policy, we do ask for a recommendation to go back to full council.
I propose that we accept that. Second, thank you. All in favour? 1, 2, 3. Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. 21/12/13. To elect a chair to the council's finance committee. I would like both Councillor Sampson as the chair of the finance committee.
I'd like to second that proposal.
Thank you. Yes. Any other proposals for the chair, finance?
No.
Okay, can we vote those in favour, please? Councillor Sanson, the chair of finance. Councillor Toller?
I'm abstaining.
Yes, but finance, yes. So, all in favour?
All in favour.
Abstention? 21, 12, 14. 21, 12, 14, 21, 12, 15. Sorry, 21, 12, 14. It's a proposal to elect a vice chair. And recommended that with four or five old councillors on the chair, that do we need a vice chair? If there should be a requirement, what could be voted on the day?
Or by the committee.
Or by the committee, yes.
You don't need to do it this meeting.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. So if we can defer that. That's 21, 12, 14 deferred. Or do you need a vote against it?
You can have a vote. Yeah.
Defer that?
Yeah.
Yes. So suppose that, sorry, Brian. Sorry, that was your vote. I thought you were going to say something. Okay, right, so,
I was thinking we don't know.
right, so proposal to defer the item 21, 12, 14. Second. Thank you. Those in favour? Okay, that's fine, yes. Unanimous, thank you. Item 21, 12, 15. To elect chair to check chairs for the fund to the council's planning and environment committees.
I'd like to propose doing that. I'd like to second that proposal.
Thank you. Can I have a vote? Those in favour? Two more. Yeah, I don't have any other, so big one. Any other proposals for the chair of the council planning and environment committee? Would see not. Those in favour? 4 in favour, 1 abstention. Thank you. 21, 12, 16. To elect a chair to the council's personnel committee.
And I propose Councillor Julie Smith, please.
Okay, can I second that?
I'll second that.
Any other nominations for the chair to the council's personnel? No, thank you. A vote, those in favour? All for 1 abstention. Thank you. 21, 12, 17. To review the council's standing orders, adopt the new now model standing orders. And this is similar for 21, 12, 18. To review the council's financial regs and adopt the latest now model financial regulations. If there's any comments to make on that.
I'd like to make one comment. Now is the leading local council authority. We are part of CHALP, and the now standing orders, both for finance and for the running of the parish council, are very clear and should be adopted.
Any more comments?
Just one question. Occurred to me just now, actually. Does that model orders include the code of conduct?
I don't believe so.
So we have an existing parish council code of conduct that we will incorporate into this now model standing orders. You're quite right about that.
Just in case for those members of the public, now National Association of Local Councils. They'll talk talking. So, proposal?
I'll propose.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Vote of those in favour, please. Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, that's the vote of the meeting.
Oh, you only done the standing orders, not the
Sorry?
financial rate.
I thought I did vote at the
Oh,
same
did you do
time.
both at the same time?
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm just going to go straight in. So, okay. Hands actually.
727. I'm just going to go for it. I think everybody who's coming to all the meetings is here.
And all those who requested
Yeah.
attendance are here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if there's no objections. No? Okay. Thank you. Okay, welcome to the meeting of Handforth Parish Council. Tuesday the 18th of May 2021. The same housekeeping applies as Ashley mentioned before, should there be a fire or an emergency. Item 21.13.1. Any apologies for absence? So it's still the same as Ashley?
None received.
Not received. Thank you. 21.13.2. To note declarations of interest and request for dispensation to discuss and vote on a matter in which a member or co-opted member has a disclosable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. Yes, any other councillors can have any interest? No. Thank you. 21.13.3. Open forum. As before, the forum is restricted to 15 minutes, unless the chairman allows it was, concerning items which are actually on this agenda. So, any members of the public has any points that they would like to raise concerning items on the agenda? Yes, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Chair. On item 21.13.11, concerning the tree avenues for Merton Grove Park, I would like Parish Council to support this project. It's a really important project. It's in line with the climate change that we're all trying to do our part towards. We had a lot of support for the tree avenues, many people to enhance the park in many ways. It's good for the environment, it's good for biodiversity, and I think in the big scheme of things, the cost of it is very reasonable, and I really hope that we support this. It fits in line with Cheshire Council policy, lowering carbon footprint. I mean, how long is a piece of string? You could go on forever. What advantage these trees will be in the park. As you probably know, we've lost a lot of trees over the years in Merton Grove Park through damage, had to be cleared, that just died off because of the age. This will benefit everyone in Handforth and show everybody that we're doing our bit to climate change and maybe encourage other groups in the area. I know that the women groups are already doing their part and they're on board with it now. And I'm sure that if you have any questions, we have Mr. Sean his colleague on the Rotary that's making this application, and I urge you to support it.
Thank you. David.
Chairman, on the same item, I'd just like to say that there's very little information here. When you come to that item, is there going to be a presentation, exactly what it actually consists of? Because at the moment, all I see is that there's a consideration by the council for an estimated funding balance of £5,148. What is that for?
Yeah, there is a project proposal that's come through to the councillors, which details the actual makeup of the amount 5148. Perhaps when we get to the actual item, we can ask for any information on
It's a bit premature, the council, APC have got an initiative on the greener sites in the village, and there needs to be, I think, an overall plan. We need to be planting hundreds of trees in this area to make any impact at all on climate change. I think what strikes me is, one, considering the Woodland Trust, who will provide free trees, indigenous mixed trees of your choice, and we're going to cover the whole of Handforth. That's the way forward. We need a lot of volunteers, I think it's part of the thing. We need to plant literally thousands of trees actually every bloody year to meet the targets. I don't see how far that stacks up to you. You can't replicate that. It has to be Woodland Trust or another source of free trees, I think, and lots of free labour is the way forward. We're certainly ready to plant these trees, clearly it's part of the mission. But it's premature. I think we need to get your plan into action first to see how it all fits in the bigger scheme.
Thanks for that. Any more comments?
Okay, so how many trees is the plan? How many trees have been planted?
The proposal is for, I believe, 48.
Need hundreds. If you look at the Climate Change Committee and Woodland Trust proposal, their intention is we need to plant, roughly speaking, a tree per person per year to 2050. And for 6,500 trees. Not all that was obviously, because the government are doing their bit, but they're going to fall very short of the target. We need, I'm going to lose the garden village, all trees over there. We need hundreds of trees, not 48. That covers half a car, by the way. 48 trees. Mature trees is half a car in terms of what they can't produce. It's in the wind. Portable, I mean, we need plant trees and all for that, but it needs to be a bigger picture.
Yeah, thank you. Alan,
yeah, well, slightly general, what really we've got this Cheshire Government consultation coming up. Is it the intention of the parish council to produce a sort of Queen's speech of initiatives, projects, and proposals that it's going to be looking at over the next 12 months or so to show the electorate that it is moving forward with things that benefit Handforth rather than in the past we've been more concerned with governments of the parish council rather than actually doing stuff. So as a sort of Queen's speech type of idea to set out what the programme for the year would be to recruit.
yeah, yes, there is. And there will be information given out about that. Thank you. No more? Thank you very much. 21, 13 form to approve and sign the minutes of the Handforth Parish Council meeting on the 20th of April. Does everybody have a copy? Going through by page. Anything on page 1? Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Proposal to accept. Minutes. Seconded. Those in favour?
I'm abstaining because I wasn't on the
Three in favour, and one abstention, two abstentions.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it got on.
Sorry, yes, go on.
Just regarding how people get to see about what's going on in the community. We should really try and utilise the social media groups, because literally nobody around here knows what's going on. Nobody, unless you actually come and hunt it down or come to one of these, which you have to find out yourself. It's not advertised. Do you know what I mean? So it would be nice to let people know that these things are going on and what's happening around the community.
I think you'll find that there will be a more obvious presence detailing what is proposed at Handforth, asking for volunteers from Handforth, so that, as I say, people do get involved. And once that starts moving, it almost takes on a life of its own, because every one person gets another person, and it gets the information out there. So yes, it's the intention that it will be publicised. Okay. Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, the project list will be publicised as well. Sorry,
John, just taking your point exactly. Is it possible to consider having the surgery idea with Zoom? So take a slot every week, month, whatever you like, where somebody's there to discuss, let people input ideas, give feedback. Again, I take what involvement, give the chance to get involved. And Zoom worked very well in many ways. I mean, it's like, the concept's fantastic, because people can, the kids, whatever. Oh, it's start with 3 or whatever, and just do half an hour and then just pop it, do it.
perhaps there might be a member of the public who's thought of that sort of thing, might be willing to
Well, I'm
take it on.
yes, I'm going to Zoom. Oh,
Okay.
why not? Why not?
Why not? Yes, we're open to look at everything.
Yeah.
Nothing's off the table. Next item, 21.13.5, to approve and sign the order of payments accounts for May 2021.
Chair, just before we move on from that minutes, maybe I should raise it as a point of order. I submitted minutes of full council meeting in January, just about a month ago. They haven't appeared on the agenda. 18th of January, I think it was.
Oh, right, yeah, those minutes. I'll discuss that with you after this meeting. I'll have to forward them on to the secretary for review.
Okay. The order of payments for May 2021. Has everybody got a copy?
Yes.
Yeah. Does anybody have any issues? Okay. I propose that we accept for May. Thank you. And a vote in favour, accept. All in favour, one abstention. No. Okay. Thank you. So section 1, annual governance, so 21.13.6, so section 1, the annual governance statement 2021, year ending 31st of March 21, annual return. And that is, the reconciliation is carried out. The reason being the old chestnut, rounding up, rounding down, which is something we can't get rid of. So, unless we get everyone to bill us and accept money from us to the round pound, unfortunately, people don't do that. So, yes, proposal to sign section 1 and section 2.
He's doing separately, I'm very sorry.
Fine. Motion is to sign section 1. Second.
I'll propose.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favour? Thank you.
I'll just make my suspicious of the panel.
21.13.7, motion is to sign section 2, the accounting statements at the year end, 31st of March 2021. Got a proposal for
I'll propose.
that? Thank you. And seconded. All in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 21.13.8, to receive and discuss the tenders and quotation for handyman services and to agree a new service level agreement for 3 years beginning in July 2021 up to a budgeted amount of 17,500 per year. Ashley has gone out and looked for alternatives. Our current handyman is the cheapest. That doesn't mean it's necessarily not the best, because it just keeps on doing whatever it's asked to do, and usually promptly, does it well, and I would have no hesitation in recommending that a new service agreement be entered into for 3 years. Does anybody else have any comments about Paul?
One question I would raise about those 3 items actually. If Jesuits do not discontinue, what would happen to these 3-year contracts?
Wilson would have to take them on. Wilson would have to take them on.
Yeah, similar to 2 bid, isn't it? Nobody any more comments on that? Anyone? No? Can I vote in favour? Sorry about the proposal. Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 21.13.9. Motions to receive and discuss tenders and quotations for village planting services and to agree a new service level agreement beginning in July 2021 up to the budgeted amount of 9,000 per year. Does anybody have any comments about the current situation?
Which was it last year? I can't remember.
Last year's cost?
Sorry.
The cost last year?
Oh. Gosh. Ish. 2 lots of 3,800.
2 lots of 3,800.
Yeah.
7.6.
7.
Can I, yeah, there are more planters in the village now. What I want to say though is that Ladybrook Nursery don't do planting. Moray's Nursery say they know can do. And is it Northwestern
I
Plants?
think I went to 5 nurseries and they just do not offer the same services as those nurseries. And I know other parish councils have found the same difficulty.
So, and I've got some, lots of people are happy with the job that they do. Does anyone have any more comments?
I'd just like to say that the planters really make the village look a lot better than it has done, and they are so beautifully planted up. I think it's a very worthwhile project.
Sorry, the only thing I'd ask you though is on how many years basis would you like to sign up for this for?
What's the minimum?
Minimum 2, maximum 5.
Adam?
Is it the same price?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Do we want to be committed to 5?
It's up to you.
No, so we say 2.
I got 2.
Yeah.
I'll do it too, so that we're
It just
not.
means you have to review it in another 2 years. Yeah,
We don't know what might happen to that supplier
Yeah.
in the next couple of years.
yeah. So 2 years
2 years
basis.
Yeah.
on that basis.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Did we vote on that?
Yes.
Yes. No, didn't we? We didn't vote on it, did we?
No.
No, I didn't think we did. No, all those in favour?
I propose amendment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Those in favour? Have we amended to 2 years? You accept on nurseries. Thank you. 21/13/10. Receiving, discuss the tenders and quotations for Christmas lighting services and to agree a new service level agreement for 3 years, beginning July 2021, to the budget amount of 19,000 per year. Anybody have any comments on that?
Do you have any opportunity to change this? Do you have any opportunity to change this price of it this week?
Probably not. I could try. I can certainly try. It might shave us some off.
Well, we wouldn't be looking for any degradation in what they supply.
No.
Which is one of those things that, if you want a good show, I tend to get from these people. It's not cheap, but it's very popular with everybody in Handforth.
Actually, you did go out and get tenders.
Yes,
and
we've got
didn't
them.
like come out as one of the best with their maintenance contract.
With the maintenance, and they're coming out to fix things, absolutely, yeah.
Which the others didn't
Yeah.
provide, that was an additional cost. This is included. So I think this is very good.
Well, I'd just like to say that the services that we've received from them so far have been absolutely brilliant. And when we had issues with the lights, they came out and repaired them. When we were allowed to switch on, which hopefully will be back, they were equally brilliant, and their costings are very good. And I think they've given us very good service, quite honestly. And the Christmas lights just make the village look fabulous. And the comments that I've had, I couldn't tell you, I've had endless comments, and people would be very, very upset if they disappeared.
When do they need to be advised that they've got the job?
When you guys vote on it.
Right, so it's just, because they need, it's heading towards into summer now, isn't it? And that's what they
It
need
is,
to get
yeah,
everything organised.
we're in May, we're getting through May.
And can we put a caveat in there that subject to not being, we won't be committed if there should be governmental action or whatever, another lockdown, so that we're not held responsible for paying for stuff that they're not going to be able to do.
They were able to do it last time.
Sorry?
They were able to do it last time.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
That didn't
shouldn't be an issue then.
No, that wasn't about it.
Fine, thank you. Motion is to continue with the service agreement for 3 years. Okay, proposal? Thank you. All in favour? Unanimous? Thank you. Motion 21/13/11 to receive a project submission from Rotary Achiever Royal Group, Friends of Merriton Park Group and Handforth Goodland Group for consideration by the council, estimating funding balance required 5148. Any comments on that?
Can I just make a comment about this? We did agree at the HPC meeting of March 16 that HPC would be spending £1,000 on having a professional come in. That professional has started, and we'll be looking at all our woodlands and green spaces. And I'd just like to read out to you the mission statement. Handforth Woodlands and Green Spaces will provide a green lung for the village. In partnership with landowners, they will as far as possible be accessible, understood and valued, and enable a resource for local recreation, education and reflective connection with the environment. They will be integral to people's enjoyment of the parish and valued for the amenity and ecological contribution they make to the quality of the life of local people. Each woodland will be structurally diverse and boast many veteran tree specimens and habitats for diverse wildlife. They will be resilient to climate change, pests and diseases, and increasing visitor pressure. Associated ponds, wet flushed brooks, grassland and hedgerows will complement woodland, creating valuable niches for non-woodland species. Handforth's woodlands and green spaces will enjoy the protection made possible through local policies and be the cherished stronghold for nature in an increasingly developing community. And their management will be a model of good practice for similar parishes. With that in mind, because this is ongoing, at this moment in time, I feel that I can't support the application for that very reason. It doesn't mean to say it's being kicked into touch. I think it just needs to be looked at with the overall plan so that we are fair to all our parks, all 5 of them, and just spread the resources that we have at our in our hands in an even manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I have a question about the actual the request. The Parish Council overall hands out grants for items which are for groups within Handforth. I'm a little confused why a Rotary Club from Cheadle would be, it would seem, the lead organisation on this rather than the long-standing Friends of the Park group. Yes, please. Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everybody. And I appreciate the opportunity this evening to come and talk to you about the proposal of planting 2 avenues of trees in Merrington Park, which I think is a very sad park at this moment in time, and also to outline our request for financial support. Let me take you back and I can maybe tell you a potty history of how we arrived here. First of all, Rotary has got 1.2 million members across the world. We work in any area, but we have to have the title of where we live in the title of the group. So there is a Rotary Club in Wilmslow called the Wilmslow Rotary Club. We are called Rotary Cheadle Royal because we meet in Cheadle. Rotary works across the globe in any areas. It's not peculiar to Cheadle. Back in about 3 years ago, our global president asked us to plant a tree. All 1.2 million Rotarians plant a tree across the world. We as a local group decided to investigate and look for a park or an area where we could plant trees to address what we've been asked to do. So we did the research and we came upon Merrington Park. We met with the very active Merrington Park, Friends of Merrington Park
group and discussed our proposal. I then approached Cheshire East Council with the idea and all the proposal plans that we got and what we were trying to do, and the species of trees that we were recommended by ANSA. Cheshire East Council gave us the approval to plant the trees in the park. So since 3 years ago, we've been trying to raise funds to fund the trees. Unfortunately, the last more or less 2 years, we've not been able to raise any more funds. However, we did approach Manchester Airport, who granted us money, and we've now managed to get to £2,500 to go towards the total cost. Total cost of each tree, broken down, taken out the VAT, which is recoverable. The actual cost of each tree is £80 plus VAT. Let me just, and hopefully all councillors have got a copy of the councillors know where I'm coming from. Some of these people here, as they've said earlier, they don't know what's going on, but I'm trying to address that. Let me just correct something that's what one person said to me a few days ago. We can get 3 trees from the Woodland Trust, it's been sent here this evening. Here's a tree from the Woodland Trust. That's the size, between 15 and 30 centimetres, about a foot. That's a free tree from the Woodland Trust. They come in packs. You do not have the choice. In the packs, for instance, there's oak trees and there's willow trees. I don't think Merrington Park needs any more oak trees or willow trees. This is what we're proposing. A 2 to 3 year old tree that will be about 7 to 8 foot high. If anybody wants to damage this, they're going to have a problem. If anybody wants to damage this from the Woodland Trust, which is free, that'll go. We can't see much of a chance of raising any more funds this year because of the pandemic. Vis-a-vis the reason we're asking for partnerships, as we asked Manchester Airport Community Fund, a partnership with us and the Woodland Group and Friends of the Park to join as a group to plant these trees in the park, which, by the way, has been adopted by Cheshire East in the overall plan for the park.
Not yet. It's still in draft form.
Our proposal to plant the trees has been adopted by Cheshire East Council and incorporated into their plan for the park.
It's still in draft form.
Yes, I understand that.
It has to go to consultation.
But we've already had permission to plant the trees in the park now. It's not going out to consultation. Cheshire East just added our plan into their plan. As of when? As of when they gave us permission 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's on the 5-year plan. It's on the master plan, sorry.
It is on the master plan.
Yeah, on the draft master plan.
But they've already given us permission to plant the trees.
If it's agreed at public consultation,
They didn't say that. I have it in writing.
the whole draft plan is going out to public consultation in the next few weeks.
Fine, okay. What I'm saying is they've already given us permission and have it in writing before the draft plan came out or was made available.
Say that you've already had permission, got that in writing.
I have it in writing.
From those part of that,
Pardon?
as part of the plan that is not the design.
No. We were given permission to plant the trees 2 years ago by Cheshire East Council. And the trees that we're proposing were recommended by ANSA.
Right, just answer asked to comment on the 5-year plan that was published in the last few weeks, wasn't it? And
Isn't it possible that both things are true? The plan overall is a draft, but they have been given permission. I mean, I can't see a problem. I mean, the plans for the trees to go alongside paths exist. There's a lot there to be learned. So, thanks, Jim. Practical.
Yeah, so my original question was, why would a Rotary Club from Cheadle be fronting a request for a group that includes a partner within Handforth? It's a partner within Handforth that Handforth Parish Council would make a grant to, not to a Rotary Club from Cheadle.
Well, hopefully, I thought I'd explained that Rotary works everywhere.
I understand that, and I've read your letter to Ashley, March 29th, which effectively is what you're saying for the benefit of everyone who can hear it, which is actually in this letter about with the what was it? Yeah, the international president of the EU said go on the street, which is what I do understand. But my question is still, why would you not be planting trees in Cheadle? Why do you want to do it in Handforth?
It's not a suitable place to plant the trees in Cheadle. As I said, Rotary works everywhere. We were instrumental in putting an outside gym in the Council Park. They were instrumental in planting 100 rose trees.
Well, I think that
in the Memorial Garden in Roselaw.
My understanding is that Winslow being responsible for the outside gym at the Cars Park.
That's right. Of which our group are part of.
Right. And what I'm trying to get is why would Handforth benefit this?
Does it really matter?
Well, it does.
We meet in Cheadle.
Okay, let me explain the reason it matters is because Handforth Parish Council, and we spend on behalf of the council, Handforth council taxpayers precept, and we intend to spend that on Handforth facilities. Should the Friends of Berry Park Group put forward a grant application for a certain amount of money, it would have to be £500 or less. That's the individual grant amount was changed by the previous chair of finance. So why can't Friends of, because we won't be able to, I'm guessing you're not expecting us to put £5,000. I guess you're not expecting the Parish Council to put £5,000.
We're asking you for finance towards the total amount that's outstanding. Whatever amount that the Parish Council would be.
Well, that would be £500 as an individual grant cost, which would require as part of our grant procedure to come from an organisation within Handforth, not Rotary International.
I think it's quite right. I think we say that we won't provide money towards national charities.
Well,
But that doesn't yet say that we wouldn't, for example, provide money towards the Royal British Legion Club.
no, what we're saying is that if it was Handforth British Legion, then that possibly would have to be looked at. But what I'm saying is that
we give money to the central. It doesn't have any place in that.
They will spend the income for they were generating services.
yeah, that's a desperate situation.
No, but the money that was given to Hope Central was specified to be used for the residents of Handforth, and that's what they did. So
I don't remember that, but I remember that. We just asked them to trust it together and to see what.
well, I don't know if that happens at that, but Hope Central certainly was involved in that.
All the money that's too much. He's asking for 2%.
Well, from my point of view, the trees, as Councillor Moore was saying, Councillor Moore has a very defined plan of providing trees for all the parks in Handforth. And I think that really it should be done by the parish council and not through a third party.
This project is going to be done by those people. Whether we have anything to do with it or not.
Well,
I mean, if they have permission from each trees to plant the trees, it's just a question of, as far as I can see, correct me if I'm wrong here, you're going to do the project, it's a question of how soon, which is dependent on how soon we get the money.
Correct.
well, planting
We
season's
will-
open
we
now
will-
anyway.
We will proceed with this project because we've got permission from Cheshire East. As soon as we've got the funds, we will commence.
Planting season's over.
I'm quite aware of that, but
So when would they be
let's
planted?
say we come October, and we've got the funds, they'll be planted. Before anything else is starting on this master plan from Cheshire East, our trees will go in first. They said that.
Who was it you dealing with?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Right.
I have issues about other things.
Ruth Morgan was the
Can't go
person
into
we
them,
were
I don't
dealing
think.
with from Answer.
Sorry?
Ruth Morgan was the person we were dealing with through Answer.
Right.
Cheshire East.
Can I just add one little thing that perhaps hasn't quite been mentioned? A number of us in Rotary are actually living here in Handforth, which is why we have an particular interest in this. It's not that we're living away somewhere else, we are locals.
Yes, that's not
I
necessarily.
thought perhaps you pitch that better.
Yeah, but that's as may be. I still stand by the fact that any grants that we issue in the parish council are for organisations within Handforth, and I'm quite happy to ask Mrs. Walsh as who's still chair of Martin to submit a grant application under the normal procedures to Ashley. And then it will be looked at first available parish council.
Can I just come back on that? Originally, this was a project from Rotary, not Friends of the Park or Open Room. And Rotary had already got permission from Cheshire East Council and Answer on board for this project. We met up with Cheshire and Rotary. Discussed it with as many local people, and we discussed it as our group meeting, and the group decided, yeah, we would like to get involved. But it was not our project initially. We have been working alongside the Rotary to try and raise funds for this project. We are making donations towards it as their funds. And I can't see any valid reason why Parish Council can't support this project. It is going to be for the people of Handforth. People of Handforth are going to benefit. So I can't see why you're bringing these objections to supporting it.
I think the problem is that it would set a precedent that any large organisation could come to Handforth Parish Council for the same reason that you just mentioned and expect money from the Handforth Parish Council. I'm concerned that it goes to the individual organisation that will benefit from it, which in this case is the park group. Because once that's done, Rotary will, for instance, sunset, job done, yes, and go somewhere else. But the park is the one who will be benefiting from the money. So the members of the park group individually, and then people who use the park benefiting from it. But the park will benefit from it, and the people of Handforth, as I just said. So my point is that we're strange that we're looking to hand over money to an international organisation. In my view, I thought gives out money. I thought that was what Rotary did. Sorry,
Good point.
Good point.
Climate change isn't. 48 trees, once mature, will sequester the CO2 from half a car. There's 1,500 cars in Handforth, do the maths. It might look very nice, but it ain't climate change. It's not good value for climate change. You need hundreds of trees, hundreds of trees.
Excuse me, Chair, may I say, was it not the point though that with agricultural helps?
Not £5,000, I don't think. It has to be cost effective,
We have to start somewhere.
but not with £5,000. I'll tell you something, there are loads of trees over the bypass which will be moved at some point, saplings of various sizes and indigenous types. It needs manpower, volunteers to bring them across to wherever we decide to put them. It doesn't stack up. It has to be free trees and free labour. And lots of, 1.5 billion trees in the next 30 years. 48 is.
We haven't got enough open ground in Handforth to plant.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Dog walker and taking to places, right? Well, we haven't actually, but there's loads of spaces to put trees. It needs organisation. It's just starting. It needs free trees. It needs free labour. That's the only way it'll work in this area.
40 trees per person per annum. Continuous.
It's 1 tree per person for 30 years, 1.5 billion trees. That's the Climate Change Committee, it's the World Trust, that's the perceived wisdom, if you like. It's not enough, actually, if you work it out. It isn't enough, but again, it'll help. But we have to, by 2030, we have to cut each of us the half our carbon footprint by 2030. That's the other big thing. And it's a big issue. And this doesn't address it at all, I don't think. It's laudable, it'll look very nice, it isn't cost effective.
Well,
There has to be another way.
I mean, I think it's confusing two entirely different things. This is somewhat like saying we shouldn't spend £19,000 a year on Christmas lights because they're going to burn up fuel. We'd be better spending
I think
£19,000 a year on planting wooden trees. This is a
Disingenuously, right?
This is a project to be beautiful.
Well, that wasn't what was said. If that's the case, different argument. The argument was, it's climate change. That was the big argument actually did. It was being put forward.
Well, it's
But we have to plant trees. I agree totally with that. But it has to be a bigger picture of things. It has to be the whole village, all the green spaces, and to have a master plan. It might happen. It's premature, given the plan isn't in place yet.
In my home city, I have a semicircular street with about 30 very big mature cherry trees, barricaded. And it was a tourist attraction. It was just magnificent. And we lasted for 2 or 3 weeks.
Different argument. Yes, I'll go with that. Different argument.
I think that can make a really fantastic contribution to Handforth. Probably be the most beautiful thing we have in Handforth. Once it's had time to enjoy.
But it ain't climate change. I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough. Let's say it produces zero climate change. That's the beautiful thing to do.
I think with great respect, I think we're talking about utopia here. What we're talking about is a group. First of all, let's forget the word achievable in our title. We're Rotary. You, my friend, are talking utopia. I'm talking instant enhancement for a park that's very sad.
I'll challenge utopia word. It's a phrase.
Well, it's going to be a long time before all these free sticks grow into anything reasonable to address climate change.
There's other ways.
So, can I just interrupt on trade? I'm afraid we've spent a long time on this. But one more point from Steve.
Just one thing. You think about the, I'm not getting whatsoever in the way of watching, but you do a bit like salesman, with the properties and all these ones and stuff like that. That's not what they're all like. I've seen them putting, not like that. The wood back ones. So, say, you can get it how it is. Some of the rubbish.
I've not said anything.
You just become doesn't mean have to make it go back to the same everything.
I'm pointing out the fact.
Yeah, sorry, I need to draw this to a close. We do have other business that we need to attend to. And there has been exhaustive discussion on this matter. As Councillor Moore has said, there is a mission statement for the council within the area to really go after climate change as much as possible with professionals who are happy to get involved. There are volunteers as well who are looking to do that. As I've said, I wouldn't be able to support a grant to the Rotary, donation to what I perceive as Rotary International. Should Friends of Merritt Park submit a grant, I would happily support it. I think we should take a vote on that. So I propose that we move on, but would recommend that Friends of Merritt Park submit a grant to the park. I propose that. Can I have a second?
Yeah.
Do you have something else to say?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that looking at the master plan, I think it's, I agree with Brian. It is a beautiful idea, and it's something that we could build into the parish council project list. There's no reason why we can't work with the Friends of the Park, build that into the project list, and yes, let's have avenues of cherry trees. But I agree with you, Brian, just be more beautiful. So, yeah, the thing that I'm not happy about is that the parish council have a grant procedure and it has to be followed. And we don't, I've never known the parish council in all the years I've been coming here to give donations to parks. So I'm against it for that reason, and I think that we should carry it forward with the Planning and Environment Committee in the lead.
Yeah, absolutely, and look at it in an overall picture, so that we're looking at the whole, not just a part. That's my biggest concern. We're just looking at a part here. We need to look at the whole, and once we've got that picture, then it will be very much clearer as to where we go and what we do. And as I said before, it doesn't mean to say that this project will never happen, but just at this moment in time, I just cannot agree that we could give this amount of money. That's my personal vote.
There are, whenever I get the minutes to somewhere who's asking for money, a grant, I always try to do a little bit of research myself. And the first thing that I came up with, a company called primrose.co.uk, who supply trees, 5 foot tall, they're 2 years old, not little sapling like that, and they're £28 each. So there is facility out there to buy a lot of trees for that amount of money. But I would reiterate that I would only be happy to support should we get a grant application from the Friends of the Park group.
Can I just go back one check? Because this project is already underway, personally, I think it would be very difficult to change track now and for the Friends of Meriton's own Park to take it on. Obviously, the group would have to discuss it and make a decision, but as it's all money has already been given towards this project, and it was a very good project initially, I think it would be very difficult to backtrack and it would cause complications.
I understand exactly what you said. Having worked in project management, you don't get things rolling until you've got the cash ready, or you have a means of paying for it, or it's planned to pay for it. So the fact that it might have to take a step back because the money isn't there, I'm afraid that's not a Handforth Parish Council issue, I'm afraid.
Well, it's chicken and egg, isn't it? I mean, you don't find funding and try to raise things until you've got a project that you want to raise the funds for.
That's right, yes. Yes, you raise the funds once you've got a commitment to those funds, isn't your head? In the same way that happened in another park where we wanted to fund a skate park. We got the designs, and then we went out and got the grant money for it from various organisations. And then it was, yes, but we got the money before we started. Now you're saying that we'll have to take a backward step. We'll take a backward step and get the money together.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't really take a backward step in that respect. I meant to take a backward step as the votary not being the instigators of the project, which they still are. We're just working alongside them. So it would be unfair after all the work and the research that they have done to the Friends of Everything to just come in and say, well, we want to say the project.
Well,
Because the money has already been paid to the votary, not to our group.
I understand what you're saying, but unfortunately, that's the way that the Handforth Parish Council grant works, that it's for organisations within Handforth, and I wouldn't be able to support donating money to Rotary International. Even though you said, as you say, it's a very good worthy cause, but it's not going to a Handforth organisation, as far as I see.
We could donate trees to,
Because you could use it.
you could donate trees to the Friends of the Park.
But we don't have a stock of trees. Well, why not just give them the money? They have to put a grant in for it. They have to put a grant in for it. I'm sorry, but I'm, as I said before, I'm afraid we've taken this as far as I think it can go. And I need to call a vote. As I said, I would recommend that Handforth, the Friends of Merton Park Group, put together a grant application and get it to the clerk, and we will look at it sympathetically. But I would like to call a vote also to propose whether to accept the grant application or not. So donation, a big part. So, anyone in favour of the donation taking place, or any donation taking place at this time? Is anybody in favour of any donation taking place at this time? Thank you. One in favour. Any against a donation being taken place?
I'm not against it, as long as Councillor Moore puts it into her project.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I just feel that we could get cherry trees in all the parks, because there's not this one park in Handforth.
Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? We're just dealing with one park, and what Councillor Thomas said before, we could donate trees. Yes, we could, and I don't have a problem with that. But we must treat everybody the same. But yes, this will certainly be part of looked at in the plan, and then when the overall plan is put together, which shouldn't take too long, and hopefully will be finished by the end of the summer. But I'm not promising that. Then we can move forward, and yes, we could take on board ideas about donating trees and the like. So with that in mind, then I don't want to vote against it, because I'm not against it. I want to abstain.
We have one of those against making the donation in this format for these trees. Anyone else?
I'm abstaining, because I'm abstaining with the hoping that Councillor Moore can get the project together and we can look at it and invite all those other park people to come to a meeting to decide what amount of money is required for whatever is needed.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, I can't support the grant in this format. Should it come from donation? Should there be a grant application from Friends of Merton Park, it should go to the clerk, and all the details are on the website of the grant space.
Yes.
Okay, so do we say that this is not going forward then?
Are you voting in favour or against?
I'm voting against it.
I'm abstaining.
Yes, yeah.
I'm abstaining.
Wow. Never seen that. I'm afraid it's like a no-score draw, effectively. One in favour, one against, and 3 abstentions means can't go forward with it at this stage. It's not a no, but it's not a yes. I've never seen that happen, but there we go.
But thank you for your time that you've taken to bring this forward. Okay. Item 21.13.12, motion is to abolish the current terms of reference for the following: Green Handforth Advisory Group, Finance Committee, Planning and Environment Committee, Strategic Planning Group. Now, standing orders to be used in the interim until any new terms of reference are adopted by HBC. Any comments, please?
Yes, I absolutely agree, they should be abolished.
Yeah.
And the standing orders are got, are we taking it as two separate things?
No, because you have adopted them now.
The whole thing is one?
Yeah, can I have a proposal?
Well, second.
All in favour?
In favour. Favour.
Yeah, that's
So no, abstaining. Yeah.
all in favour, all against.
Okay.
21.13.13, to receive any reports from Handforth Ward councillors.
The reason why I put this on the agenda was because the previous council, we had a ward councillor sat on the HBC council, and we had a newly elected ward councillor. And I wanted people to be informed in Handforth by minutes or by whatever means that the people of Handforth should know what is happening at Cheshire East. Now, unfortunately, it was voted against. So I brought it back tonight in the hope that our present ward councillor, Councillor Julie Smith, and I understand that Councillor Burke, is still a ward councillor, will from time to time, but on a regular basis, give us an update of what's happening in Cheshire East. Because otherwise, we don't know. We're just as much in the dark, unless I specifically ask a ward councillor what is happening. Because I don't get a newsletter from Cheshire East. Anybody else here get anything? And I think it's a way forward for letting Handforth taxpayers and non-taxpayers know what's going on. And that's my point.
Thank you.
Hello. This is with my other hat on. I'm not going to talk too much about what's happening at Cheshire East, more about what's happening within Handforth as far as my role as a ward councillor goes. The first thing I'd like to make everyone aware of is that the Cheshire East applied for an active travel grant from the government and were awarded a total of 743,000. Tranche 1 was last summer, and it supported the installation of temporary projects for the COVID-19 pandemic in the guise of cycle lanes and walking routes, etc. Tranche 2 then came up for public consultation back in, I think it's February, and I urged everyone on social media to comment on the public consultation, which aren't always well subscribed to. We actually had 259 total responses. This is an amount of 588,000 that was available, and there were 5 areas that were up, that were vying for this money, including places in Crewe, Macclesfield and Congleton, as well as Handforth and Wilmslow. We were successful, and we now are going to be having a dedicated cycle lane from Handforth into the centre of Wilmslow. And I'm told that I think it's going to be completed by next summer. The cycle lanes that we have at the moment going up Manchester Road past the luxury car dealers, where cars park in cycle lanes, is going to be done away with, because cars won't be able to park there because it will be segregated. So hopefully, sorry, yeah, it's cold, yeah. So I think it's a really good thing that we've managed to get this through public consultation. People are a lot more switched on, I'm finding, at the moment, with regards to what we're doing as a parish council, what we're doing as Cheshire East. People want to know what their money's being spent on, or what Cheshire East are doing to enhance their life, and this is one thing. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to be talking to our local PCSO, to Onward Housing and other people about possibly having some sort of cycling proficiency for the youngsters, so that they can, you know, learn how to use the road safely, and hopefully we'll get more of our young people and older people on bikes and cycling instead of using cars, which all go towards reducing the carbon footprint. That's one thing. Something else that's been introduced by Board Council at Cheshire East is that in the latest budget, the highways budget has been cut quite dramatically, by nearly £4 million. So we're left with a situation where only main routes, really, and really bad problems with the highways are going to be sorted as a priority. So one of my fellow Cheshire East councillors came up with an initiative so that we could offset some of the immediate problems that we might encounter within our own wards. And each ward councillor has been given a budget of £4,200, so that if we have a situation where, I know one of the biggest things in Handforth is block gullies. I'm always getting emails and phone calls about block gullies. Now, gully clearing is on a schedule, and it's a 2 to 3 year cycle. If we've got a one-off situation with a block gully that's causing a lot of residents problems, then these budgets can be used to get them out to clear that gully. So it gives us an immediate solution to a potential problem. So I welcome that we've got this control. I wasn't impressed when I saw the price list for some of these things. I never realised these things cost so much, because we have been given a price list. Just my biggest job at the moment that I've taken on is to chase Section 106 money. Now, these are legal agreements between council and developers, whereby an amount of money is given over to Cheshire East for specific projects that are agreed at the time of the plan commission is granted. At the moment, we've got, and this is without money from certain developments that are going on, like the sanctuary. At the moment, we have an account with over £900,000 available to Handforth. Currently, 50,000 of it is being used to construct the bridge and new path in Merriton Road Park, I believe the bridge has been finished, somebody was telling me today. Is that right? Mrs. Walsh?
I don't think I'm the right person for you to ask. I'm not in charge of the bridge building.
Oh, I just thought it's because it's in the park. No?
Does everybody else know?
Anybody else know?
That is down to Amsterdam, actually.
I believe it's been, the bridge has now been constructed anyway, and the path
The
will
bridge
be.
is usable. I don't know whether it's finished or not.
I've been told today that it's been done, so coming over. Thank you, guys. Yeah, so from the new fairways estate into the park, and there will be a path from there to the main path in the park. There's, as I say, I'm trying to get to the bottom of where this money is and how we can get hold of it to complete different projects around Handforth, including parking. There's something like 361,000 of it is for affordable housing. There's nowhere to build affordable housing, so we have to start thinking outside the box, I think. And it's something that I'm talking to Cheshire East about, how we can use that money to fund affordable housing on the new and existing developments. So the only other thing I've got to talk about is that I'm going to be planning some litter picks again for the local community. People have been asking me for them, so I'm going to be doing a couple of litter picks in June, which will be advertised. And that's it. I've not really had much chance to do much at Cheshire East in the last month because we've been in Curda and we've had the elections and whatever. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Roger, with a quick question.
Great question. It's been quite a long-standing bugbear that ward councillors had little or no say in deciding the amount or use of S106 monies. Is that situation likely to change
Yeah.
in the near future?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
excellent news. Thank you.
We're certainly hoping so anyway.
Good.
Yeah. And so it should.
Okay.
You know, there is an amount of 205,000 that was agreed from a development that was finished in 2015. And for some strange reason, it was earmarked for a bus service in which there's only 5 bus stops in Cheshire East. And we've been crying out for funding for buses. In fact, the parish council and Wilmslow Town Council, another parish and town council, have had to fund the bus service that we've got now. You know, and there's 205,000 sitting in an account for the last 6 years. That should be.
I've been a parish councillor for more than 10 years. And section 106 has always been a complete mystery.
Yeah, yeah.
To everybody,
Yeah.
especially people in Cheshire.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to get to the bottom of the mystery. And all I can say is that I'll do my best to do that and release the money and get it spent in the village, because if this is just us with over £940,000.
5 years ago, I canvassed the houses in 106. I think it was 118,000 coming from the public. Parking. What the hell happened to that?
We've got a home for that.
It's there.
Yeah, we've got a home for that.
Well, we were told if we didn't find a place for it within the next years, 30 rooms or then.
We seem to have found a place for it, Brian, rest assured.
I'm not sure until I see something happen.
Can I just mention about that? That Councillor Smith mentioned about the 205,000. It was very strange that when the next building was built on Stanley Green, they were committed to spending 410,000 on 106. A lot of it got spent in various places, some of it on a path, I believe. Not necessarily all of it went to the immediate vicinity, which is where it should be spent. But 205,000 of it was agreed by Cheshire East, and I believe it was the, I can't remember which committee it was, but agreed that 205,000, half of it, would go to GMPTE in order to spend money on the 312 bus route, which came from Stockport, and the intention was to bring customers to Next on Sundays. Now, I find it quite wrong that the 106 money would be used to get customers into Next, who was supposedly spending the money, and you couldn't make it up. Unfortunately, one of the councillors who I was dealing with at the time to try and get this money back, and that's not dead yet, as we've heard, unfortunately left the council very quickly and actually owed money from his business in Trafford. He featured in Rotten Boroughs in Private Eye, so you know the sort of people that he was. And whether or not there was something dodgy, I have no idea. But we are still trying to get that money back to where it should be. It's purely only because I was actually involved with it. I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of the detail of it. Okay. Thank you for that report. And just now to confirm the date of the next HPC meeting, please, Ashley.
Make it 15th of June.
Because of the first being a Tuesday.
Just like I said, it's opportunity, we will need to hold the annual parish meeting on the 1st of June, as it is the final day. We can hold the annual parish meeting. Um, 6:30 maybe even. What's it? 7?
I'd like to have a finance meeting.
Oh.
At the full council meeting on the 15th.
Oh, right, on the 15th. Yeah. It's the last Saturday we've got.
What day is the first of June?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to the Planning Environment Committee meeting, which I will hand the gavel over to the chair. Thank you for your attendance. What's we got?
No idea. Anybody know what's happening? Ashley, what time is it?
8:45.
Oh, right, so we can start.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Handforth Parish Council Planning and Environment meeting. Sorry, I need to change my glasses again.
Excuse me, Peter.
Mr. Moore.
Could you talk outside, please?
Sorry. So item 2114, 1 to receive apologies for absence. None, obviously. Item 2114, 2 to know declarations of interest and request for dispensation to discuss and vote on a matter in which a member or co-opted member has a disclosable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. Does that apply to anybody here? No? Okay. Item 2114.3, the open forum for members of the public to make comments on anything at all on the agenda. Yes, Mr. Thorpe.
I have to admit that I haven't looked at any of these planning applications. Which is unusual for me, but the planning application is item 2114.5. Private application for change of use from retail to bakery, number 111 Winslow Road, Handforth. Have there been any objections from the other bakeries in the centre of Handforth to this application?
I don't believe so.
No, none that I've seen.
Oh, that's interesting. Right.
You can't,
I think
you can't object on competitive ground.
No,
Uh,
I think it's a Greek bakery or something. It's something a bit
It's an
specialised.
artisan bakery.
Yeah.
Cafe, basically.
Yeah.
So-
I don't believe you even need to apply for change of use rules anymore, do they?
Well, not as part of it.
No, permitted developments, yeah.
There is one other point I'd like to raise. It's not a planning application that's on the agenda tonight, but it is an important application, and that's the one to create a through road in Hall Road to give access to the Sunfield site and an escape route into the.
That's been abandoned, as far as I'm aware.
It's still live on the Cheshire East website. That's
I
what
will look
yesterday.
into it, but I'm sure it's been, it's been
The
shown.
point I was going to make was it looks as if there might be signs of, what's the word I want? Some kind of agreement between Cheshire East and Jones Homes, because Jones Homes have now started to build roads within the Sunfield site, and those roads emanate from the end of Jamie Webb Drive. So I'm hopeful that that impasse is going to be resolved in the near future.
What I understand is that the access to that site will come in off the bypass.
That was always the original intent.
Yeah.
And I believe that Jones Homes have put this planning application in to make Hall Road access road.
No, that was always
They put it in to try and induce Cheshire East Council to grant them cheap access, let's say, across the concrete track.
I don't think that was ever done. I don't think ever a serious application, that, because it's so ridiculous.
It pleased me to see that almost every school child at St Benedict's.
I know all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It pleased me to see that almost every school child in St Benedict's put in an objection.
Okay, any other comments? No? Okay, we'll move on to item 21.14.4, which is to approve and sign the minutes of the Planning and Environment Committee meeting of the 20th of April. Does anybody have any comments, any issue with the minutes? No. There we are.
Can I just, like, to make one comment? I'd like to have that speak without very detailed report about it on the.
Yes.
It was excellent.
It wasn't me, I can't take the credit. It had already been submitted.
Oh. Okay, so shall we just take it page by page? Any objections to page 1?
No.
Councillor Toll, are you okay with page 1?
I haven't read it beforehand, and I won't.
Okay.
Take up so much time to read it.
Any 2,
No.
3,
No.
4? This is all the thing 5, 6,
No.
7, there's nothing on there, so that's fine. So may I have a proposal, please?
I propose that.
I second
Can we take a vote then, please, to accept those minutes?
in favour.
I am saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favour, thank you. We'll move on to item 21.14.5, which is to consider the planning application 21.2189M, which is prior notification for change of use from retail to bakery, ground floor 111 Walmsley Road.
Chair, I'd like to say that it's better to have the retail unit open than it being shut off.
Yeah.
You know, the more, the merrier.
And they're planning a lot of renovations, so I think it will make it look quite
I'd
smart.
like to make a comment on
Yeah.
this, that I am not on board with it, because we have 23 food outlets between the Wagon and Horses and the Bull's Head. And there's only so much business that we can do in Handforth. And are we sure that they actually need
They don't need
planning
this planning
now?
permission,
They
so it
don't
doesn't-
do this.
so it doesn't matter
This-
what
This is
you
all
say.
relevant
Yeah.
because of law.
So it's
It's academic what you say,
It's
yeah.
academic if you want.
It is academic,
Right,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
But I'd just like to say, I think we've got too many food outlets in Handforth, and we need to be diversifying, and we need to encourage more businesses to come into the village where we've got empty properties. There was a business, a games business, physical games, not computer games. It was one of the people, Scarecrow, one of the Scarecrows, the Harlequin Scarecrow, Harlequin Games. They were desperately looking for premises in Handforth, and that would be ideal for them, I think. And instead, we've got yet another food outlet. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Well, we don't need to consider it then if we don't need to vote on it, do we?
Take a vote, just, we'll add those comments in, but
I don't.
So we take the vote?
Is there any benefit?
there's no benefit.
Okay, so we will.
Just, yeah.
Okay, moving on to item 21.14.6, to consider planning application 21.0621M. Now, I'm not going to read it all out. It's the illuminated posters and so forth for Long Mile Drive. I think it's already been passed, hasn't it? Yeah. So again, it's
I think
there's
it's fast
nothing to
already.
do about that one. Moving on to 21.14.7, to consider the planning application 21.2343M, two-storey side extension and single-storey rear extension, comprising of additional bedroom with ensuite and enlarged kitchen living space to 18 Marlow Drive, Handforth.
In keeping.
In keeping, yeah? Do we have any comments? Councillor Sarver, any comments? In keeping. In keeping, yeah. Okay, can I have a proposed, please, to, and a second? Okay, can we have a vote on that, please, those in favour? In favour. Thank you. And the last item of the meeting, item 21.14.8, to consider the planning application 21.2036M, planning approval to bring the front of the house level with the current single-storey porch. The right-hand side of the property would be 2.54 square metres extension next to the neighbouring linked detached garage. New pitched roof would replace a flat roof, replace facade tiling on the front of the house with UVPC grey panelling. UPVC, I can never get that right. 32D Road, Handforth. Does anybody want to comment on that? No. I did notice there was an objection from the neighbour, but it was something to do with light, and I don't think they have any right to light these days, do they? So, yeah, absolutely. May I have a proposer, please? A seconder? Okay, all those in favour? In favour. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending the Parish Council meeting, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one and the annual meeting on the 1st of June. Lots of a lot of paper. Oh,
We should be looking into having tablets.
having
Tablets.